Natural disasters like tropical cyclones, storm surges, floods, and tornadoes are closely associated with Bangladesh. They often occur simultaneously and with increasing intensity. With changing climate patterns, these disasters are predicted to intensify and to become more frequent. In the last 100 years, more than 400 tropical cyclones emerging from the Bay of Bengal have hit the 700 kilometers long coastal region. 67 of them were overwhelmingly devastating. Cyclone Mohsen was one such cyclone, and it hit the village of Kuakata in Patuakhali district, located some 378 kilometers south of the Bangladesh capital, Dhaka. In mid-May this year, the small coastal village, one of the worst affected areas, was almost wiped out by the cyclone with wind speeds over 250 kilometers per hour. It ranked as a Category 8 cyclone. The mildest, Category 1, has wind speeds of 130 kilometers per hour. The sheer strength of the wind flattened thousands of tin-shed homes and crops and left devastated roads and embankments in its wake. The strong cyclonic winds caused the waters in the bay to rise, causing a storm surge that led to large-scale flooding. People who were moved to the safety of cyclone shelters returned to their homes only to find that they had to take refuge on areas of high ground, such as the embankments that usually protect the fishing communities from flooding. Although the tropical cyclone caused less damage than originally feared, the trail of devastation in some coastal villages was enormous. In Amtoli, Nobipur, Golbania and Bhailabania villages located near the bay, Mohsen left hundreds of thousands of trees uprooted, ripped free ferry pontoons, and destroyed culverts and embankments by the force of the gushing waters. None of the tin-shed homes were left standing, while most of the rooftops were torn off and homes left submerged as embankments were breached. Many of the rivers meandering through the area overflowed and engulfed neighboring villages. Compared to the loss of property, the loss of human life was lower than expected. And thanks to the combined efforts of the government, non-government organizations, and international development partners, who had prepared well ahead for Mohsen, some 1 million people had been evacuated from the coastal areas to safety. In May 2009, Cyclone Aila hit southern Bangladesh, killing 121 and injuring more than 7,000. In November 2007, Cyclone Sidr claimed 3,400 lives and left over 100,000 badly injured survivors. By contrast, Cyclone Mohsen claimed just 6 lives and injured about 2,000 people. This progressive reduction in human deaths is largely due to Bangladesh's increasingly efficient disaster preparedness and rescue operations.
জ্বরের সময় আমরা দেখা গেল আমরা পাবলিককে বলি যে সবাই আসছে কিন্তু আসলে মা বোন ভাই বোন যারা আছে বৃদ্ধা বুদ্ধি বুড়ো তাদেরকে আমরা আশ্রয় কেন্দ্রে নিয়ে যাই আমরা মাইকে বলি বলার পরে আমরা যেটি দূরে না যাইতে পারে সেটি মোবাইল ফোনের মাধ্যমে আমরা তাদের জানিয়ে দেই ট্রলারে করে নিয়ে আসি আর নিয়ে আশ্রয় কেন্দ্রে নিয়ে আসি অনেক রকম তার সুযোগ সুবিধা দেই
The Bangladesh Red Crescent Society, with over 60,000 of its trained volunteers, was at the forefront of operations, warning communities to take shelter and rescuing those stranded. The coastal villages of Modubi in Patuakhali and Chorduani in Borguna districts, inhabitants were found taking shelter on pockets of highland. They had to survive in the open for many days until the floodwaters had receded. Relief and logistics for rehabilitation arrived in time.
জ্বর তুকান তো হইছে জ্বর তুকানের সময় সরকারে আমদারে 800 দিছে নৌকা দিয়া আমদারে এক জায়গায় লইয়া গেছে লইয়া গিয়ে আমদারে 800 খানা নিয়া আমদারে রাখছে তো আগে তো আমার বয়স মনে করেন 60 এর উপরে চলবো আগে তো মনে করেন কত মানুষ মারা গেছে অনেক লোক মারা যায় না কিন্তু আমদারে সরকারে আগের থেকে ওই সাবধান করে 800 দিয়ে লাইছে আমরা সব কিছু বুঝিয়ে লাইছি
Unlike in previous cyclones, people did not face the crisis of lack of food and fresh drinking water. This was thanks to the timely assessment of the disaster, which initially helped the planners on the ground to launch relief and rehabilitation for the affected community. In dealing with such extreme events, the South Asian nation of 150 million people has emerged as a model organization for substantially reducing loss of lives and risk along the entire stretch of the coastal zone. The most dedicated agency for cyclone disaster and mobilization at the community level is the Cyclone Preparedness Program, or CPP. Given its vulnerability, Bangladesh has made significant improvements in its disaster preparedness, mostly since a catastrophic cyclone that hit in late April of 1991, which claimed over 138,000 lives.